The hardest person to forgive is sometimes yourself. In the vast northern woods, where the pines stood tall and the air was crisp, lived a strong and powerful bear named Rowan. To all who saw him, he was a pillar of strength, a silent guardian of the forest. But beneath his thick fur and formidable presence, Rowan carried a quiet, heavy shame, secret that gnawed at his soul and kept a perpetual winter in his heart. He moved through the seasons with a sense of purpose, yet always at a distance. When other animals gathered by the sun-dappled streams to share stories and laughter, Rowan would watch from the shadows, a solitary figure against the trees. He kept a deliberate space between himself and the vibrant life of the forest, believing he didn't deserve to be a part of it. His solitude wasn't born of arrogance, but of a deep, unspoken penitence. The root of his pain was a memory, sharp and cold as an icicle. It was from a winter many years ago, a season so brutal that the very air seemed to freeze in the lungs. Food was gone, and the blizzards raged without end. Rowan and his smaller, younger brother were weak with hunger, struggling to survive. A moment came when Rowan, driven by a primal fear for his own life, made a choice that would haunt him forever. He left his brother behind, pushing forward alone through the blinding snow to save himself. He told himself it was the only way, that one of them had to survive. But the echo of that decision never faded. His brother, miraculously, did survive. Found by another family of bears, he grew up strong, unaware of the burden his older brother now carried. But for Rowan, that survival didn't bring relief. It only deepened the wound. He never stopped punishing himself, replaying that moment of fear and perceived selfishness over and over. He would stand for hours staring at his reflection in the frozen rivers, seeing not a strong bear, but a coward. The water would tremble with his heavy breaths, the image distorting, just as his own self-perception had become twisted by guilt. He was a prisoner of his own memory, serving a life sentence in a jail of his own making. In an attempt to atone, Rowan dedicated his life to others. He became the most helpful, protective, and reliable creature in the forest. He would move massive fallen logs to clear paths for smaller animals, stand guard at night to watch for predators, and share his food even when he had little. But this service didn't come from a place of peace or community. It was a desperate, unending effort to pay a debt he felt he owed the world. Each act of kindness was a lash of self-flagellation, a constant reminder of the one time he had failed. He wasn't building a better future. He was trying to erase a past that was permanently etched into his soul. Then one spring, when the forest was just beginning to awaken from its long slumber, disaster struck. A dry lightning storm ignited the underbrush, and a fire began to spread with terrifying speed. Smoke billowed into the sky, turning the bright spring day into a hazy, orange twilight. Panic erupted. Animals fled in every direction, their desperate cries filling the air. The familiar scent of pine was replaced by the acrid smell of burning wood and fear. The world turned into chaos. Midst the frantic scramble, Rowan's sharp eyes caught a flash of movement near a stand of burning birch trees. A young bear cub separated from its mother, was trapped behind a tangle of heavy, fallen branches. Flames licked at the trees nearby, moving closer with each gust of wind. The cub cried out, a sound of pure terror that sliced through the roar of the fire. And in that moment, the same paralyzing fear that Rowan had felt all those years ago in the blizzard returned. Cold and suffocating, threatening to root him to the spot. "Run," it whispered. "Save yourself." But this time, something was different. He looked at the terrified cub, and then he looked at the path of escape. He saw his past and his present laid out before him. This time, he didn't run. He took a deep, steadying breath, pushing back against the icy wave of fear. He charged forward, the heat scorching his fur. With a mighty roar that was part effort, part defiance, he lifted the heavy smoking branches and cleared a path. He gently scooped up the trembling cub, shielding it with his large body, and carried it through the smoke and embers to the safety of the riverbank. After the fire had passed, leaving behind a scarred but quiet landscape, the cub's grateful mother found Rowan resting by the water. She bowed her head low in a gesture of profound thanks. Rowan, his fur singed and his body aching, simply nodded. He looked at the setting sun painting the sky in soft hues of pink and orange, and whispered, more to himself than to her, "I'm just trying to become someone I can live with." In saving the cub, he hadn't just performed a rescue. He had rescued a piece of himself. That act of courage gave him a different kind of strength. Later that season, Rowan finally walked the long path to the far side of the lake, to the den where his brother now lived with his own family. He approached with a heavy heart, expecting anger, resentment, a lifetime of bitterness. He was ready to accept it. But when his brother saw him, his eyes held no malice. They sat together by the calm water. And his brother said, "I survived, Rowan. A part of me always knew you did what you had to do. But I never wanted you to live your whole life as a prisoner of that day." The words were a key turning a lock that had been rusted shut for years. Rowan cried quietly. The tears that fell were not of weakness or of renewed sorrow. They were tears of release. He wasn't crying because he was sad. He was crying because, for the first time since that terrible winter, he was finally letting the shame leave. He felt the immense weight that had hunched his shoulders for so long begin to lift, molecule by molecule, until all that was left was the quiet peace of the lake and the warmth of his brother's presence beside him. Healing begins when the punishment ends. You can't change the past. You can't undo the choices you've made. But you can choose the next version of you. The person you become tomorrow is forged in the choices you make today. Forgive yourself not because you deserve it, but because you cannot grow while you are still chained to who you were. Let go so you can finally move forward. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe for more.